Hello and welcome everyone. So in this video we are going to understand the fifth chapter, replication from data intensive applications. So in the previous video we have understood what is replication. So replication is keeping the copy of the same data across multiple machines which are connected via a network. And we also saw that there are three approaches for replication, that is single leader, multi-leader and leaderless. So in the scope of this video we are going to cover multi-leader replication, and you can refer to the previous videos for single leader replication. So now let's start. So single leader based replication is the one where there is one leader, that is all writes must go through it. So if we cannot connect to the leader for any reason, for example due to the network interruption, we cannot write to the database. So a natural way to solve this problem is to allow more than one node to accept the writes. So replication will still happen in the same way, that is each node that processes a write must forward that change to all the other nodes. We call this configuration as multi-leader configuration or master-master or active-active replication. So multi-leader in single data center does not make sense because the benefits rarely outweigh the added complexity. But in case of multiple data centers, it can be useful. So imagine you have a database with replicas in several different data centers. So with a normal leader based replication setup, the leader has to be in one of the data centers and all write must go through that center. But in a multi-leader configuration, you can have a leader in each data center like the image shown below, and within each data center the regular leader follower replication is used, but between data centers each data center's leader replicates its changes to the leaders in the other data centers. So now let's understand how the multi-leader and single leader behaves in multiple data centers and what are the differences and advantages of them. So let's first compare the performance. So in case of single leader configuration, every write goes to the data center which has the leader, and this adds significant latency, and this might also defeat the purpose of having multiple data centers in the first place. But in case of multi-leader configuration in the multi-data centers, write are processed in the local data center and then replicated asynchronously in other data centers. Thus, the inter-data center network delay is hidden from the users and the performance which is observed by the users are better. Now let's see the tolerance of data center outages. So in the single leader configuration with multiple data centers, if the data center which has the leader fails, then the followers in the another data centers are promoted to the leader. But in case of multi-leader configuration, each data center has the leader. Thus, data centers can be continue operating independently of the others, and the replication will catch up when the failed data center comes back online. Now let's understand the tolerance of network problems. So the traffic between data centers usually goes over the public internet, which may be less reliable than the local network within a data center. And single leader configuration is also sensitive to inter-data center link because writes are made synchronously over this link. And a multi-leader configuration with asynchronous replication can tolerate these network problems because a temporary network interruption does not prevent the writes being processed. So some databases support multi-leader configurations by default, but they are also implemented by some external tools. Although multiple leader replication has advantages, but it has various problems too. So the same data can be concurrently modified in two different data centers, and then write conflicts must be resolved. Also, auto incrementing keys, triggers and integrity constraints can be a problem. So let's see what are the use cases of a multi-leader. So let's consider the calendar app in your devices or your laptops or any other device. So you need to be able to see your meetings, enter the new meetings regardless of whether your device is connected to the internet or not. And if you make any changes while you are offline, they need to be synced with the server and your other devices when the device is next online. So in this case, every device has a local database that acts as a leader, and there is an asynchronous multi-leader replication process between the replicas of your calendar on all of your devices, and the replication lag may be hours or even days depending on when you access the internet. So this setup is essentially the same as multi-leader replication between data centers, taken to the extreme such that each device is a data center and the network connection between them is extremely unreliable. Also, collaborative editing tool apps like Google Doc can be the use case of multi-leader replications. So now let's understand how we are going to handle the write conflicts in case of multiple leader replications. So the biggest problem with multiple leader replication is that write conflicts can occur, and which means that we require conflict resolution. So if we see this diagram, the user 1 is updating the title of the page to be where the ID is 123, and this is present in the first data center. So it is present in the first data center, so this leader accepts the changes by the user 1 successfully, and it updates the title to B. Simultaneously, user 2 present in the another data center updates the title to C, and since this leader 2 is a local leader, it updates the title to C. But when these changes are reflected to the other data centers asynchronously at a later stage, the conflicts occur because the titles are B or C, or they can be updated to any one of them. So in the single leader replication, the second writer will wait for the first one, or will block the database, or it aborts the transaction and then asks the user to retry. But in case of multiple leader replication, both writes are successful, as we saw in the previous example, and the conflict is detected asynchronously at a later stage when we cannot even ask the user to resolve the conflict. So what should we do? Should we do conflict detection asynchronously, that is, wait for all writes to be replicated to all the replicas? In that principle, you could make the conflict detection synchronous, but by doing so, we would lose the main advantage of multiple leader replication, that is, allowing each replica to accept the writes independently. So if you want a synchronous conflict detection, we must just use the single leader replication. So what should we do? We can do conflict avoidance. So the simple strategy for dealing with conflicts is to avoid them. So if the application can ensure that all writes for a particular record go through the same leader, then conflicts cannot occur. So for example, in an application where user can edit their own data, we can ensure that request from a particular user always is routed to the same data center and use the leader in the data center for the reading and writing. But sometimes we might want to change the designated leader for a record because one of the data center has failed, or we need to reroute the traffic to another data center because the user might have moved to a different location and is now closer to a different data center. So in this situation, conflict avoidance will break down and we have to deal with the possibility of concurrent writes on the different leaders. So now let's see how we will converge towards a consistent state. So a single leader database applies the writes in a sequential order, that is, several updates to the same fields are applied sequentially and the last write determines the final value of the field. But in case of multiple leader configuration, there is no defined ordering of the writes, so it is not clear what the final value should be. So if each replica simply applied writes in the order that it saw, the database would end up in an inconsistent state. So the final value would be C at the leader 1 and the final value would be B at the leaders 2. So that this is not acceptable because every replication scheme must ensure that the data is eventually same in all the replicas. Thus the database must converge the conflicts in a convergent way, which means that all replicas must arrive the same final value when all the changes have been replicated. So let us see there are various ways of achieving the convergent conflict resolution. So let us see the first way. So each write can be assigned a unique ID using a timestamp or UUID or hash, and then pick the latest ID as the winner. And in case of the timestamps, that is when we are using the timestamp as the unique ID, then the last write wins. but this approach is very popular, but it is very prone to data loss. The other approach is where we can assign a unique ID to each replica using the timestamp or UUID, and then let writes originate at a higher numbered replica given the preference over the lower numbered replica. And again, this approach is prone to data loss. The third approach can be to merge the values together somehow using some logic and then concatenate them. So, in the previous examples, our final value can be B hyphen C. And the last approach is recording the conflict in some explicit data structure and then applying the logic at application code to handle those conflicts. So, now let us see how we can use the custom logic to handle the conflict resolution. So, most multi-leader replication tools allow us to write the conflict resolution logic using the application code, and that application code can be executed during write or during read. So, let us understand how that code is executed during write. So, as soon as the DB system detects a conflict in the log of the replicated changes, it calls the conflict handler. Now, let us see how it handles during read. So, when a conflict is detected, all the conflicting writes are stored, and when the next time the data is read, that is, there will be multiple versions of the same record, then those records are returned to the application, and then the application will handle the conflicts and write back to the DB after resolving the conflicts. There are other ways of conflict resolution like conflict free replicated data types, which are the family of data structures for sets, maps, etc. that can be concurrently edited by multiple users and which can automatically resolve conflicts. Others are mergeable persistent data structures, which is similar to Git version control system, and it uses the three-way merge function. The other way is operational transformation, which are used by Google Docs to solve the conflict. So, now let us see what are the topologies in multiple leader replication. So, a replication topology describes the communication paths along which writes are propagated from one node to the another. So, in case of two leaders, there is only one possible combination, that is, one leader 1 must send all of the writes to the leader 2 and vice versa. But in case of multiple leaders, there can be different topologies. So, the first one is circular topology, in which every node receives the write from one node and forward those writes to the one other node. And in the star topology, one designated root node forwards the write to all of the other nodes. So, in circular and star topologies, a write may need to pass through several nodes before it reaches all the replicas. Therefore, nodes need to forward the data changes they receive from other nodes. But the problem with circular and star topology can be that if just one node fails, it can interrupt the flow of replication messages between other nodes, causing them to be unable to communicate until the node is fixed. So, the topology can be reconfigured, of course, but there can be manual interruption. So, in case of all-to-all topologies where each node can communicate with the another node, this single point of failure can be avoided. But this all-to-all topologies have other issues, like some network links may be faster than the others. For example, consider that a client A comes and inserts some data into leader 1, and then client 2 comes and inserts the data into leader 2. Then we have to replicate these changes to the leader 3, but leader 1 changes were first attempted and then leader 2 changes were made, but leader 3 can receive the data from leader 1 and leader 2 in any order, and this can result in inconsistent state. So, we need to make sure that all the nodes process the insert first and then the update. That is, changes from the leader 1 are reflected to the leader 3 first because it is an insert, and then the changes from the leader 2, that is updates, are reflected to the leader 3. So, simply attaching a timestamp to every write is not sufficient because we cannot trust the clocks. So, to order these events correctly, a technique called version vectors can be used. So if we are using a system with multiple leader replication, we should thoroughly test our database to ensure that it really provides the guarantees and it is advantageous to use and does not add much complexity. So let's summarize what we covered in this video. We understood what is multiple leader replication. We saw the problems with multiple leader approach. We saw how to handle the right conflicts, and we understood various techniques to handle the conflict, and we saw what can be the topologies in multiple leader approach. So I hope you like the video. Thank you.